Alrighty, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua. I'm your Konoha Companion. And on today's episode, we're going to be covering Season 1, Episode 8 of Naruto, entitled The Oath of Pain. There's a brief introduction that goes, Kakashi has the upper hand in his battle with Zabuza. Now, you'll remember last episode it ended climactically when Kakashi put Zabuza in checkmate by copying his water clone and counterattacking him. Now, this episode starts with a bit of rehashing like what we just did. It starts mid-battle between Zabuza and Kakashi, and it's at the point where there's mist everywhere, and Kakashi throws his hand sign and casts the jutsu that blasts away the mist. It runs us through the meltdown that Sasuke has, where he's in that gray purgatorial state, and he's having the panic attack, and Kakashi has to snap him out of it. Kakashi then goes, "I'll protect you with my life, all of you. I will not allow my comrades to die. Trust me." And he turns and gives everyone a glance of confidence. Zabuza yells, "I wouldn't be so sure," and he appears between all of the squadlings and Tazuna. Zabuza then yells, "It's over." Kakashi then turns his Sharingan eye on Zabuza and leaps into action. He stabs Zabuza in the stomach, and Zabuza starts leaking water from the stomach. And it turns out that Zabuza is a water clone, and the real Zabuza leaps into action from behind Kakashi and yells, "Die." And he cuts Kakashi in half with his huge sword. Everybody panics. It's a crazy moment. I mean, Kakashi just got chopped in half. And as Kakashi falls to the ground, his body turns into water. And Zabuza thinks to himself, a water clone? It can't be. And in this moment, a kunai touches Zabuza's neck, and Kakashi tells him, "Don't move. Now it's over." At this point, the title screen comes in, and Naruto reads the Oath of Pain. And this is also the exact moment whenever the last episode ended. At this point, the squadlings all look on in shock and excitement as Kakashi holds Zabuza in place in checkmate. Kakashi then yells, "You're finished." And Naruto yells excitedly, "All right." And Sakura lets out a chuckle, and even Sasuke looks pleased in this moment. And Zabuza laughs and asks inquisitively, "Finished?" He continues, "You really don't get it, do you? Your technique is nothing but a crass imitation. I'll never be defeated by a mere copycat ninja like you." Kakashi is obviously frustrated by this, and Zabuza continues laughing and adds, "You're full of surprises, though. You already copied my water clone jutsu when you made your little speech." And it cuts to Kakashi giving the speech to Sasuke saying, "I'll protect you with my life, all of you." And Zabuza remarks, "It was very skillfully executed. You made your clone say those words to draw my attention while you hid in the mist waiting for me to make my move. Nice try, but I'm not that easy to fool." And suddenly, Zabuza appears behind Kakashi, and the Zabuza that Kakashi had in his grasp suddenly turns into a puddle. And Naruto remarks, "Hey, that one was a clone too." And it's wild how deep this chess match goes, right? Zabuza attacked initially with a clone, and Kakashi killed that Zabuza clone with a clone of his own. And that Kakashi clone was subsequently taken out by another Zabuza clone. And that Zabuza clone was ambushed by what we can assume is the real Kakashi. And then finally, at that point, the real Kakashi was ambushed by the real Zabuza. And Zabuza then slashes at Kakashi, and Kakashi dips under the sword, squats down. And Zabuza swings his sword so hard that it sticks in the ground. And as soon as it sticks, he switches his grip on the hilt and uses the sword to generate extra torque for a kick that lands directly on Kakashi. And Kakashi goes flying, and Zabuza exclaims, "Now." He grabs his sword and sprints in the direction of where Kakashi's fixing to land, but he suddenly stops whenever he sees spikes on the ground that Kakashi either placed there earlier or threw on the ground as he was flying through the air. And he remarks, "Trying to slow me down? Humph, foolish." He then leaps into the air, and in this moment we see Kakashi land in the nearby body of water. And Naruto exclaims, "Sensei," and Sakura thinks to herself, "I can't believe Kakashi-sensei got kicked through the air like that." And Sasuke remarks that Zabuza has great physical skill too. As Kakashi comes back out of the water, he remarks on how the water isn't normal, it's dense, heavy. And in this moment, Zabuza appears behind Kakashi and yells, "Fool!" And he throws several hand signs and casts the water prison jutsu. Kakashi screams, "No!" And then suddenly we see that he's trapped within a sphere of water. And Kakashi thinks to himself, escaping into water? Bad mistake. And Zabuza has his hand in this ball of water, that's how he controls it, right? He has a hand in it, and that's what keeps it kind of holding together. Zabuza laughs and says, "This prison is made of water, but it's stronger than steel. It's hard to fight when you can't move. So much for the great Kakashi. I'll finish you off later, but first, your little friends will have to be eliminated." Zabuza then uses his free hand to throw a hand sign and casts another water clone jutsu. Kakashi thinks to himself, "He's even more skilled than I thought." Right, so maybe Kakashi underestimated this guy, and that's, maybe this is really Kakashi. And I was low-key hoping that this was another clone, but I mean, if he's thinking, damn, this guy's more skilled than I thought, and he's actively held up in a water prison jutsu, damn, maybe we've seen Kakashi really get got at this point. Naruto looks on in horror, and Zabuza laughs maniacally as the water clone Zabuza emerges out of the water. Zabuza then says, "You think wearing a headband makes you a ninja? When you've hovered between life and death so many times it doesn't faze you, then you may be called a ninja. When you've become so deadly your profile is entered into my bingo book, then you may have earned the title ninja. But to call upstarts like you ninja is a joke." And Zabuza then disappears into the mist. And Naruto thinks to himself, he disappeared again. Captain Obvious over here all the time literally only thinks the most obvious shit. It's almost like I shouldn't even say what Naruto says, right? Because what's happening, right? He's only just remarking on it. But again, kind of part of Naruto's deal is he's a little bit simpy, and so we'll give him his airtime. Just in this moment, Zabuza's clone knees Naruto in the face and sends him flying, and it knocks his headband off. The headband clanks to the ground, and Zabuza's clone steps on it. Zabuza's clone then announces, "You're just brats." Sasuke and Sakura both take more defensive stances, and Sakura yells, "Naruto." Kakashi yells from within the water prison for the squadlings to take the bridge builder and run. "You can't win this fight. He's using all of his power to keep me in this prison, so he can only fight you with his water clone. But the clone can't go very far from his real body. If you run away from him, he can't follow. Now run. So that's interesting. These clones can only go so far away from the original caster's body, and that's a kind of a little weakness of them. So Kakashi's just like, yo, y'all get out of here. And if y'all run effectively, he won't be able to keep up. Sasuke thinks to himself, run away? Not an option. That became unthinkable the moment you got caught. No matter how fast we run or how far we go, he'll track us down and wipe us out. If we try a manji defense formation, he can get around it in an instant. And remember, that's the formation that they were in earlier whenever they were protecting Tazuna, and Zabuza appeared between them in an instant. He continues, in the end, if we're on our own, we're finished. Our only chance of survival is to rescue you. We've got to do it. And Sasuke comes charging in, throwing kunai, and Zabuza's clone swipes his sword and knocks away all the kunai. And at that point, Sasuke comes flying in from above, yelling, now, right? Finishing his sentence, we've got to do it now. And he's thrown these kunai as a slight diversion. Now he's coming in for the attack from above. And Zabuza's clone looks up, chuckles, says, too easy, and snags Sasuke midair by the throat, Undertaker chokeslam style. And he hurls him across the battlefield. And Sakura exclaims, Sasuke, no, right? Obviously that's her deal. She's all about some Sasuke, so you can't be WWE chokeslamming Sasuke in front of her. Naruto remarks, he got Sasuke, and gasps and turns in horror as Zabuza is approaching. Naruto thinks to himself, so this is what a Jonin is, a true elite ninja. I've got to get away. If I don't, seriously, he'll annihilate me. And at this point, Naruto is clearly terrified and legitimately trembling in fear. And he yells and goes to run, and he puts weight on the pledge wound from the previous episode, and the pain from that wound reminds him that he can't ever run away now. He flashes back to when he actually stabbed his hand and recalls, upon this wound I make the pledge, believe it, I'll never back down again and let someone else rescue me, I'll never run away. It then flashes to Sasuke saying, you weren't hurt, are you, scaredy cat? And Naruto continues, and I will not lose to Sasuke. He then grunts and turns to face Zabuza's clone and notices that he is standing on his headband. Naruto then flashes back to when he asked Iruka to try on his headband, and Iruka telling him he can't wear the headband until he's a ninja. Then it flashes to Iruka on the ground after Naruto successfully defeated Mizuki and defended Iruka. And it flashes forward to the moment when Iruka gave Naruto his headband and made him a ninja. It then flashes to Kakashi in training saying, that's what happens, an enemy takes a hostage and you have an impossible choice. On every mission your life is on the line. It then flashes to Kakashi passing the kids, right, giving them a passing grade on his test. It then flashes to Naruto in the Hokage's office demanding he's not a little kid that used to pull pranks all the time. I'm a ninja now and I want a ninja mission. It then flashes to when the squadlings were introducing themselves to Kakashi for the first time, and he's announcing his dream is to be the greatest Hokage. Then the whole village will stop disrespecting me and start treating me like I'm somebody important. Naruto then stands up and remembers, that's right, I'm a ninja now, believe it. I swore an oath of pain, I won't run away. And so in that moment it flashed to the actual pledge he made, him being embarrassed by being called a scaredy cat by Sasuke and him not responding well in a moment of terror. how he won't lose to Sasuke, him wanting the headband really badly, him earning his headband appropriately, Kakashi foreshadowing this exact circumstance in training, Squad 7 passing Kakashi's test, Naruto demanding a serious mission, and Naruto declaring he's going to be Hokage. And at this point, like, the beat drops. This is like one of the climactic moments of the episode, and Naruto comes sprinting straight at Zabuza's clone, screaming, and Kakashi yells, "Naruto, no!" And Sakura screams, "Oh, Naruto, what in the world are you doing?" And Zabuza's clone chuckles and says, "Fool!" And it cuts back to Naruto still coming in full speed. And Zabuza's clone sends Naruto flying back to the feet of Sakura, Sasuke, and Tazuna. And Sakura demands to know, "What are you thinking, charging in there by yourself? Even Sasuke couldn't get him. We're only Genin. We can't defeat a Jonin. What did you think you'd accomplish with that?" And the beat continues to build as Naruto shakily stands up, and Sakura realizes that Naruto got his headband back. And Sakura thinks, "The headband? That's what he wanted?" And Naruto stands up and says, "Hey, you, the freak with no eyebrows, put this in your bingo book. The ninja that will become Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, he never backs down." Naruto ties his headband and glares at Zabuza's clone and declares, "His name is Naruto Uzumaki." Kakashi remarks on this in his head, and Tazuna even goes on to say, I thought he was all talk, but this kid's got guts." Naruto then yells, "All right, Sasuke, listen up. Can you hear me?" Sasuke responds, "Yeah, I can hear you." And Naruto continues, "I've got a plan." Sasuke thinks, now he's got a plan? This guy, right? Sasuke then says, "So you're finally thinking about teamwork, huh?" And Sakura, blushing, thinks, "Why do I have this feeling? Naruto is so determined." And Naruto then goes, "Okay, ready. Let's bring this guy down." And Zabuza's clone laughs and says, "Big words for such a little man. You think your plan's gonna keep you in the game?" And Kakashi thinks to himself, "This isn't good." He then yells, "What are you doing? I told you to run. This fight was over the moment I got caught. Now take off. Your mission is not to prove how brave you are, it's to save the bridge builder. Stay on mission." Naruto goes, "Bridge builder?" as if to ask the bridge builder's take on the matter. And Tazuna goes, "Well, I guess this all happened because of me, because of my desire to live. But I won't let that stand in your way now. Forget about me and do what you have to do. Go ahead and fight to save your sensei." And Tazuna's alright. Dude just won me over a little bit, right? Yeah, take care of your sensei. Sasuke sighs happily and offers, "You hear that?" Naruto chimes in, "Yeah, believe it. You ready?" And Zabuza's clone gets a big chuckle out of this and says, "You really haven't learned anything, have you? Still playing your little game, pretending to be ninja." Looking at his right hand, Zabuza clone continues, "By the time I was your age, this hand had already crushed many opponents." And the squadlings all gasp, right? Because they haven't crushed any opponents, really. Kakashi chimes in, "Zabuza, the demon." And Zabuza offers, "So I was in your book too, huh?" And Kakashi continues, "Long ago in the village hidden in the mist, also known as the Blood Mist Village, before a student could become a ninja, there was one final test." And Zabuza leans in curiously and goes, Do you know about the graduation exam?" Naruto asks, "What graduation exam?" The Zabuza clone lets out another big chuckle, and Naruto frustratedly goes, "What's the big deal? We had graduation tests too." Zabuza's clone laughs even harder at this and asks, "Did you have to kill other students to pass?" And Naruto is like obviously shocked by this. And Zabuza's clone continues, "Imagine young ninja like you, eating together, training together, and then comes the final exam. Only they change the rules. Kill or be killed. You can't stop while your opponent still breathes. He was your friend, shared your dreams. Now it's him or you." And real quick, full stop, fuck the Blood Mist Village. That sounds like a terrible place. That whole team can suck it if that's what's going on there now, right? But Kakashi did say that was long ago, right? So perhaps there's been some reform, but damn, that's violent, man. That's violent shit. Sakura, obviously shocked, declares, "That's so cruel." Samesies. And Kakashi goes on to explain, 10 years ago in the village hidden in the mist, the graduation exam changed. 1 year before, a dark evil had filled the school with terror." And Sakura asks aloud, "What is he saying? What evil? What kind of change? What caused the terror?" Kakashi continues, "Without pause or hesitation, a young boy who was not even a ninja approached the class and took down over 100 other students." It then cuts to Zabuza, whose brow is lowered, his eyes are completely black, and he goes, "It felt so good." And it cuts in on his eyes, and he's clearly like crazy, right? He's clearly super crazy, and he's obviously super capable too, right? I mean, even before he got any training, he took out 100 people who were mid-training, right? So the guy's a goon, used to lead an assassination unit. Now he's like a rogue ninja with guys under him doing his own thing. Like, guys out here thugging. Put some respect on Zabuza's sleeve stack, yo. Zabuza clone then lunges in and elbows Sasuke in the chest, and the next week he then people's elbows him in the stomach on the ground, and he elbows him so hard that this causes Sasuke to literally spit up a bunch of blood. Sakura, of course, yells for Sasuke, and Kakashi just watches in horror from the water prison. And the Zabuza clone then puts one foot on Sasuke and stands over him, Captain Morgan style. And he reaches for his sword. And as he reaches for his sword, Sasuke struggles unsuccessfully to get away. The Zabuza clone then laughs and declares, "You're nothing." Naruto comes in and yells, "Stop right there," and he busts out the Shadow Clone Jutsu and busts out at least a dozen or two clones, and this stops Zabuza clone right in his tracks and curiously says aloud, "Oh, Shadow Clones," and there's quite a few of them, right? And so every time this dude does the Shadow Clone Jutsu, it stops people in their tracks, even these high-level guys. They're like, "Oh shit, look at that." And at this point, all of the Narutos pull out their kunai simultaneously and all announce, "Here we go." And they all simultaneously leap in for an attack, and they literally dogpile Zabuza's clone to the point that you can't even see him anymore. But Zabuza's clone literally just flexes, and I'm gonna flex and bust out of here, and sends all the Narutos flying away. Tazuna, shocked, says aloud that his skills are too advanced, he's too powerful, there's no way to defeat him. And Naruto, as he's flying away from Zabuza, says, "I'm not giving up, I've still got this." And he pulls out a folded up giant ninja star out of his backpack and throws it at Sasuke. Sasuke catches it and thinks to himself, "So that was your plan. Not bad, Naruto." He then unfurls the giant ninja star and yells, "Demon Wind Shuriken, Windmill of Shadows." And the Zabuza clone questions, "A shuriken? You'll never touch me with that." Sasuke then leaps in the air and throws the shuriken at Zabuza, the real one, holding Kakashi in the water prison jutsu, not the clone that we've been talking to and fighting, and that's been the primary point of focus in this most recent bit. And the real Zabuza, who's holding Kakashi, remarks, "So you passed the clone and aimed for my real body. Smart, but not smart enough." And he literally catches the giant shuriken out of the air with one hand. Very reminiscent of how Kakashi caught two of the smaller shuriken with his fingers thrown up the peace sign whenever they were doing the exam and Naruto tried to sneak attack him from the water. So, these skills translate across Jonin, right? We're seeing these guys snag, deadly weapons out of the air with their hands. These are real goons. And in this moment, another giant shuriken comes flying in. And Zabuza thinks to himself, a second shuriken in the shadow of the first, the shadow shuriken jutsu. And Sakura thinks the second shuriken is on target and you can't catch this one, right? Obviously, he's still got the other one in his hand, right? He could drop it and catch the other one. I don't see why that's not an option, but obviously it's in his hand and there's a very limited amount of time, and he's in a worse spot now with both of his hands occupied. As the shuriken approaches, at the last second, Zabuza leaps over the shuriken without ever taking his hand out of the water prison. So it keeps the water prison jutsu intact and it avoids the shadow shuriken all at the same time. And he excitedly proclaims, "I told you shuriken can't touch me." And Sakura exclaims, "He dodged it." And Sasuke kind of grins satisfactorily, which is a little odd at this point. But suddenly, the second shuriken that Zabuza leapt over turns into Naruto, and everyone gasps with surprise, with the exclusion of Sasuke. And Naruto screams, "Eat this!" And he throws a kunai at Zabuza, and the episode ends. Right? So, another cliffhanger, mid-fight. Wild that this fight has turned into 2 full episodes, right? It's just, this was my first anime ever, and so it definitely caught me off guard how long these fights were going to take, I never realized that we'd be 2 episodes deep into a fight. But it's dope the way it's playing out. I really enjoyed it a lot. Kakashi is a gangster for being like, YOLO, let me die, y'all go finish the mission. Secure that bag for the village, that's the priority. The squadlings are even more thug for refusing to leave him no matter what. Tazuna gets a little tip of the hat from me for, as the employer here, right? He's the guy, like I just said, they're trying to secure the bag, and Tazuna's the guy given the bag, so he's the ultimate decision maker on a lot of this shit, I guess, right? And he allowed for this diversion from the primary mission and prioritizes saving Kakashi over saving his own life, right? That's dope. Go him. We don't know if it's a selfish decision, if he just thought about it and thought my best chance of living is us doubling down and saving this guy right now, double or nothing, right? Or if he's just sincerely concerned with the safety of Kakashi. But the bottom line is that his decision led to Kakashi, us at least fighting to save Kakashi in the current moment, which is dope, and I really appreciate that. Made for a more interesting episode, I think, than them just running away. I was hoping that the Kakashi in the water prison was a clone or something, but nah, it definitely seems like the real Zabuza really got the drop on the real Kakashi, and it's up to the squad to save the day. On that note, big shout out to Zabuza for being hecka goonish, right? He took out 100 dudes in the final exam just strolling up with no previous training. And he's also been depicted as, taking out entire units of Leaf Ninja without them ever knowing what's going on. And, he's gone legit toe-to-toe with Kakashi one-on-one and has homie locked in a water prison right now. Like, if it weren't for these other variables, he'd crush this dude right now. Piss on the blood mist. That's some hoe shit they're doing over there to their ninjas. I hope they get their comeuppance right. I hope that they've either been reformed since this hellacious shit was going on, or that they get reformed here real soon. And I love that we're finally getting to see some cool teamwork out of Squad 7 with the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu that they just came up with on the fly. And, I'm real excited to see what's going to happen in the next episode, to see how this fight's going to play out. There's no telling, right? As many clones and misdirection and everything that's going on, there ain't no telling how this is fixing to play out. So it's going to be really, really interesting to just kind of sit back and let it play itself out and enjoy the roller coaster as it happens. And with that, kind of put a bow on everything. I really appreciate everybody listening. I'm really looking forward to covering the next episode next week with you all. Please participate in the comments, share the memes, be friendly, right? The whole point is that we all get to be friends. And with that, I'm really looking forward to catching you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.